Your office is there, right? So. Yeah. That's keeping me really on edge. Hey, how are you? Doing this morning. Very good. Good. Mhm. Mhm.
So we like from Matthew. Anybody here from Matthew? No. I think maybe tomorrow. Did he? We have usually incidents.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I see Jill Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. My knowledge,
We should get through it.
I was gonna say, it's a way, right? It's pretty long. Yes. Combination.
Yeah. Side thing that has to do with states.
So when you're small.
She's good. She's not putting any little run
No breaks.
on anything. Yeah.
We don't get the grace. Our house.
And it's harder though, right? When you do person again, we don't pay these bills. So we good?
Are we good? Yeah. All right.
I want to move to really time.
I will call the meeting to order. Thank you very much for attending out there. Our next commission hearing is Wednesday, November 16th, at 5:30 here in this room. And before we go any farther, I need to swear in staff and applicants. So raise the right hand and swear that you will tell the truth if you are speaking today. I swear.
I swear.
Got it? All right. Not you. All right. Thank you.
You're prepared.
Yeah. Commissioners, would you look at and approve or disapprove the minutes from the last hearing on September 21st? I'll take a motion.
I move.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you. Right, Lori. Turning applicants.
Okay. Really pleased to have Marsha Armstrong here with us. We've had to miss a couple times that she's been on the agenda, but she's doing the project leaving intersections over at the Shores Pond Park and wanted to come and update you all on her progress with that and request a extension to the installation schedule. If we could get to the that'd be great. Would you like to join us up here, Marsha? Sure. So right at the table.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Thank you for your time this afternoon. I've been here before. I'm back.
It's been a journey.
Yeah, right. The reason I'm back is really nothing has changed in terms of my plan or anything like that, but I ran into a snafu, and that was providing insurance for the city. And that was kind of a big deal. And so by the time I actually found a provider, there was just not enough time to do it successfully. So from that standpoint, I decided that maybe I would just roll it back until June of 2023. So that's what I'm doing at this point. But I kind of think it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because it's giving me a chance, and Lori's got it somewhere up there, to at least do a couple prototypes. That's what you see right there on the screen is a prototype of it floating. It does float, which is very exciting to me. And that's at Chiller Park. So I've been able to work out quite a few bugs for it now. And I'm actually kind of doing some iterations at my studio right now leading up to the project. A lot of plant studies and how are the roots growing, and what kind of planter do I need to make to accommodate the plants I'm going to use, and that sort of thing. So it's probably a good thing that I do have this extra time. It says here on the agenda that I can report back to you when it gets a little closer. And I would think by 30 days before the install, I better have it pretty well together. So I just wanted to report to you, Lori and I talked about it, and I think way back you gave me the option of either you mentioning it or me coming to you, and I thought it would be nice to come to you and see if you had any other questions about it, or any more information that I could provide you.
I think it's great to see it actually completed, that the drawings were lovely. But it's really exciting to see it put together and floating out.
Yeah, thank you.
On the pond. And we need to request an extension to the time schedule. I'm thinking, do you want the request to go through summer or spring? What would be?
My target date right now is June of 2023.
Okay, so let's say through September of 2023. So if we could have a motion for that.
Anyone want to give a motion to allow that? Okay,
I can second.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's pretty easy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jack.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you, Lori, for keeping me on the agenda. And
It's a lovely little project.
yeah,
Yes.
thank you. Appreciate it.
See you next year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, next up is a continued project, which is the parking garage mural and Astor Park. This is the piece for the portion of the mural that will go on the, I think I need, would you two like to come back?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry. I'm always trying to figure out that particular part of the confluence, which is north and which is south and which is west, because it always gets to be a little up for grabs. So the mural will be on, is it the northwest? Okay.
Yep.
The northwest corner of the parking garage, that's being built near .com Field, that will support the Astor Park development. And, it will be, oriented toward the private part of the development, the residential business part, and the courtyard as, open access to those users of the of that particular development. Karen Snaffer was selected as the artist, and she was conceptually approved as the artist for the project. And now she and
Mac Parks, yeah.
Matt Parks from the development company are here to introduce her design. I don't know if you had a chance to look, but I also included a link to the fiber mesh material that this will be printed onto, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, so I do have one comment on that, what's on there. So we've been working with the city on the actual material, and that material that got selected by them and their design team is actually a little bit different.
Oh,
And I can send you an updated specification sheet, but I do have a sample of it today if you guys wanted to touch it and just kind of see what material will be like, so I can pass this around.
absolutely.
You want? I can make it.
So it's not like an adhesive back, like
Right.
3M, it's a.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a mesh billboard type install with like J hooks and like rods that'll attach to the city's garage. You know.
I'm sorry, you're not with the city? You're-
No, so I'm Mac Parks. I'm a project manager by day, art executor by night for us. So I work with artists such as Karen and another project that I finished up earlier this year at the development. But I kind of help get it executed and in place. It's kind of
So
my
like you're
role.
contracted with the city
No, so for this one,
or with the development?
yeah, so I'm with the development firm Pizzuti, so
Okay.
I don't understand the relationship 100%, I'm gonna be honest with you, with the city, but the city is, it's part of their contract to get art installed at this location, but we were coming to the table with the artist on saying, this is what we would like, this mural to have,
Okay.
kind of, so.
So you're like speccing the materials and connecting with the artists to.
Most part,
Yeah, he's filling in. Dan Gore has been here.
Yeah.
several
Right,
times
okay.
to work
Yeah,
on this project.
Dan Gore's protege, I guess, so, yeah. So, and I can go through this presentation if you guys want a little bit more context of the development, and then Karen has a great presentation on how she got to the final piece of art. We're looking to get approved tonight, so, do you want me to use
Yeah,
the
there you
clicker?
use that clicker.
Okay.
You might have to point in this direction to change slides, maybe.
There we go. All right, so just for context, this is the bridge that I painted, well, I didn't paint it personally, but that I helped get executed, painted earlier in the spring, the kind of entrance to the development. This is what it looks like looking towards downtown, so it was really exciting to see this come together down in the development. This is just kind of an overview of the office building, that is hopefully will start next month. And that's it. Let's see. Where's the overall plan? Just kind of skipped over it. So the office is on the south, right along Nationwide Boulevard, next to Crew Stadium. The city's parking garage is listed as parking structure there, and then our residential area is kind of what wraps around, where the mural will be placed. And then if there's a future block B, that'll happen later down the road. So that's over here. This is a rendering of the Riverfront Park that's down there. It's been open for a few months. It's 2.5 acre park, which connects to the Olentangy Bike Trail and the Scioto Greenway Trail. It also has a kayak ramp to the Olentangy River. This is a rendering of our residential buildings that we'll build in the future. Roughly 246 apartments, numerous amenity spaces, and has an outdoor pool and courtyard where the art will be visible. This is a rendering of the city's garage that they're currently working on. They're hoping to complete that project Q1 of 2023. And then here's another view of the courtyard, the pool, and just kind of some typical layouts for residential units inside of the residential buildings. And then this is a rendering of proposed artwork, but it's not the final artwork. It's kind of like a placeholder, but it kind of shows the notch and the location in the garage on where we're going. Karen has some great images of, or some more perspectives of where it'll be. And then this is Karen, kind of had a brief introduction from Lori, but we're super excited to share her background and everything. But she's an established artist, currently resides in Gambier, Ohio, Bachelor of Science and Education, the Master of Fine Arts degree, both from Ohio State. She's exhibited nationally and internationally and been published multiple times and was a professor of art at Kenyon College. So now she's kind of go over her thought process and how she got to what she did. So
Okay, great,
just that one right here. Yeah,
okay,
kind of pointed it like that is.
all right.
There you go.
So you already know this location, I just put that in there like Mac did. And I just wanted to let you know how, sort of like what came before this. I'm with Hammond Harkins Gallery, and I had an installation there a couple years ago called Divine Connections. And I use a lot of yellow and black in my work. And sometimes I'm referencing nature. And this, you can see there's some moments that refer to parts of nature like flowers and pods and so forth. And Ron Pizzuti saw the work, and he, talked to Hammond Harkins, and over, 2 or 3 years, that was 2019, he had been following my work. And so he contacted me about this project. And then this was one I just did recently in Cincinnati, which is actually called Afternoon Courtyard Escape. And I actually use courtyards and atrii, I guess the word is. I have used them in my work. So this idea of place is important to me, even though a lot of my work is abstract or fracturing of forms. And then this is just information on how I started working to get ideas by visiting the site. There's the garage, which isn't quite, the top floor is not yet finished in this image. And then, of course, I took in the fact that the river was going by, the footbridge, the kayak ramp, the confluence of the Scioto River and the Olentangy. And I just was trying to gather as much information as possible to come up with ideas. They sent me landscape architects plans for both the park along the river, the kinds of plants that are there, and then even in the courtyard. And I really wanted to find something that was blooming, because I love the idea of having this idea of a flower, some kind of floral form within other shapes that might be more geometric. So I found this Sweet Bay Magnolia, which is going to be in both locations. And we don't think of as a magnolia as being an Ohio flower, but we actually have one in our yard, and I just think they're gorgeous plants. And so I just, took that into my drawings, my sketches. I was studying the blooms, and even the pods and their seeds. And then I started thinking about, what a courtyard is. It's a place of respite. It's a place of celebration. It can be a removal of our psychological impact of the urban energy. It can be a place to connect with nature and also with others. So it has many meanings, it has many functions, but all of those came into my thinking. So this was my first sketch, and I actually gave 3 proposals to the Pizzuti companies. I met with Dan Gore and Joel Pizzuti and Mac, and presented 3 of them. And I'm not showing you the other 2 because this is the one that I ended up choosing. They said, well, it's up to you, even after I gave them 3 proposals, which I thought was very generous on their part. But what I'm seeing here is, I'll talk more about my concept, but I got the Astor Park logo, and I really like how in the upper right, the shapes within that logo are both very sort of structural and geometric, that slanted form over the A, and then also the other 2 shapes that are more, I guess, sort of organic. And so I just, was very aware of those shapes. And then I was even looking at, I used a yellow shape in a lot of my work that really refers to the sun, but I was also had the moon in mind, because people will be in this courtyard at night. The structure, let me just show you these quickly. I just showed these also to the committee, or the 3 from Pizzuti, to just, show them how I use color and how I use patterns within my designs. And then this was a more developed rendering. I just added moments of color, and I knew there would be more color, and the color could be very different. But the two upright forms, the one on the left and the right, I see as like posts of a trellis or of a pergola. And then the form going across the top is like one of these beams that's held up by those two posts. And yet they're also referencing more urban kinds of structures. So I'm not being literal about it, but I'm referencing these sort of man-made forms and geometric forms, and then also allowing them to integrate with nature. And then, I was looking at kayaks, and then obviously the geometry of the buildings that will be in that area. And then these are architectural renderings of the views, the perspectives of that corner of the garage. Because I wanted a sense of what is, the person on the ground, the viewer, how are they going to be seeing these murals? Because these 4 panels that are at this, these, it's like a W, these 4 different panels will be seen from different perspectives. And and then because it's going to be 3 stories high, that will also affect the way someone sees the work. Then I just have here where those divisions are within the artwork, panel 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then this is the final piece. So what I did was I made a 2-scale painting. There are 4 panels that are the exact dimensions, or the proportional dimensions of each panel. And so you can probably see some vertical seams between each panel. It's done in acrylic on birch plywood. And so the actual mural will be 35 feet high or 37, I think it's 37 feet high and 65 feet wide, the total width. But then they will be at angles to one another because they're at the corner of this garage, which again is like a W. Does everybody understand that? So I set them up. I mean, I hung this on the wall, 4 panels, and took this image. And I want to point out that there's just a couple moments where I wanted to, reference the colors of the crew, the black and the yellow. The upper right circle could be seen as a shape symbolizing the sun with, as a backlighting to like a silhouette of the vine. And then on the left, in the sort of the left middle, that blue and black and white pattern is like part of the vine growing up towards the trellis and, sort of going behind and around it. But it could also be interpreted as a river. And then if you look behind the largest yellow flower, just like between that large yellow flower and the circle, the yellow circle, are leaves, but one of those leaves is like looking at a kayak from above. I was just having some fun. And then the lower left, it's like a moon in the night sky, but it also has the pattern of a soccer ball. So I didn't want it to be overtly about, sports and athletics, but I knew that this is part of that environment. And then I also wanted to just be very joyful and about, celebration and excitement. So there's this, sort of paradox of the organic with the geometric. And then I set it up, at right angles to each other. This is like the configuration of the actual mural. But you can see these white lines between, on the left and the right, because that's the edge of the panel. I constructed them. And then I set these up so that you would see them. If you were, one position on the ground, you might just see two panels. Panel 2 and 4 or 1 and 3. So like that, from that angle, from that angle. Okay. Works. Any questions? Yeah.
I have a question, of course. So the material, that you're going to paint on this side, but you can see it on this side. So is that going to affect how you see the image, or is it going to be then seen inside the parking garage?
Yeah, Dan did mention that to me early on, that as people are inside the garage, they will see sections of the mural from behind, which could be kind of, very cool because it's this color in this, more, probably more industrial kind of space.
But and this will be painted here to it, right?
It's printed on the mesh.
It's printed on the mesh, okay.
And I believe it's only printed on the courtyard facing side, so you'll be able to see kind of a silhouette from the inside of the garage, but the intent is just to print the exterior.
So you really won't see from inside the garage.
I'm not exactly sure how it looks. Some of the pictures that we got from the signage company, you can see the image from the reverse image from inside of the garage, but obviously you won't be able to see the colors. It'll just be more of like an outline of anything inside of the garage.
Because you would have to paint the inside of the mesh.
Yeah.
Because you can't see.
It'd have to be like double printed.
You'd have to double.
Yeah. I don't think that's the city's intent to print it on the two sides.
You might be able to see, I'm guessing, you might be able to see a color through it, but it won't be as intense.
It won't really show what you're really doing.
You'll see during the day, but at night, I just see. Yeah.
Because that fuchsia is not the same on the other side. It's blue.
Right, it's hard to know from this example,
Mhm.
but if it's just printed
Yeah.
the same image twice, right? Sort of.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was the only sample that we were provided, so.
It'd be amazing if the mural was visible from both sides, yeah, or if it could be printed on both sides. Or if the other side had a different design, that would make sense in relationship to the interior.
I'm sorry, I missed it. Were you hand painting this or is it digital print?
Digitally printed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who is actually handling the printing?
So, so it's part of the city's contract for the garage, and then the night signs is gonna be the signage contractor.
Will they be contracted to you or
The city.
city service?
Yep, so Justin Genetti with the city is the project manager for that project that I've been working with. And then there's another printing company that works for Denight out of Indie Imaging is what they're called, that does all that printing. And they do like, I think all the billboards, like around, like any large format stuff is bringing that in.
Does the artist have final approval?
I was just getting ready to.
Does of that, yeah, so we're at that point now. Like I said, the city's selected that material for the final project. Now we're at the point now where we're kind of getting everybody together to get our work digitized, get her sign off, do some mock-ups and some testing stuff to make sure that like when we go to install it, it's perfect, so.
No, but I mean, after it's printed, will she have an opportunity to look at it and make sure it's?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's,
Yeah, because I'll probably need to do color correcting and just, yeah.
and someone mentioned rods earlier. How will this be attached?
Yeah, so there's like J hooks that'll be attached to the garage, and then they hook onto like vertical bar or horizontal bars that'll adhere to that. So it's kind of like tensioned and stressed, and
Is this the same material that a lot of banners are made out of now?
that's my understanding.
Does it have a longevity?
Yeah, so we went through that with the city. This has an expected life of 5 to 7 years. So Pizzuti companies are responsible for the routine maintenance if there was something to happen in that term. And when it reaches its end of life, the city's responsible for replacement of the full reprinting of the mesh.
The city is like
Mhm.
meaning the color usually fades at that.
Yes.
Right, okay.
So that's an area of concern that
Yeah.
we're not really sure which colors are gonna fade faster. So when it starts to all kind of like bleed out, then it'll be time for replacement. But yeah, that's the city's part because they own the garage and that's who's funding the project.
The facilities maintains it. Yeah.
Is this recyclable, this material that's printed on?
I'll have to find out and let you know.
Okay,
I,
because
I,
once it's finished, what do we do with it?
right.
Yeah, or what how's disposal? Okay.
Yeah, it's a great question.
You told us to make more art.
Yes.
Can you tell us what the budget is for this project?
So is it the city has that information? I'm not sure how much the actual mural is. And then we're contracted with Hammond Harkins Gallery for care and services, and I don't have that figure with me. So,
Could you at least get us a percentage that the artist is given as a part of the whole project?
a part of the whole garage or the part of just the mesh?
Shows the art, you know.
Yes.
portion.
Yeah. Mhm.
I don't want to push a dead horse, but I know every time that this has been discussed, concerns were expressed by commissioners about it just being sort of privately.
I'll take it up.
Okay, but I guess what I was wondering is is it possible to have something on the interior side of the garage?
I'll have to check with the city's project manager on that.
Do you see why I'm
Impossible.
asking?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been discussed yet, so I'll have to ask that question.
I mean, I want to say that I think the project is really great, and I think the artists that you've chosen on both sides are impeccable. I think that'll be a nice project. I think what still nags at me is for the future. Because I think come down the road with other private and public projects, I think it needs to be really clear that the artist is getting a particular percentage of the project and that the public is actually going to be able to see this. Because that's most of the time, public facing art is for the public. And this is for those lucky people who have a condo or whatever those are.
Yeah.
So,
And I don't think we were aware before that public service was actually paying for the art, which makes it a little bit more, I think, concerning as a public entity. I mean, it's not on your shoulders by any means. But
Yeah, so they're paying for the mesh and the printing of the mesh. We're paying for care and services through the gallery.
And the other thing that I want to make sure is understood in that is this isn't something, Karen, that you agreed to as an artist for this project.
can you speak up to her?
I'm sorry, keep losing my voice.
Sorry.
If this isn't something that Karen supports as the artist for this project, then, you know, she needs to certainly speak up.
We need to
and-
have something on the backside.
Yeah, to have something on the interior of the garage.
No, actually, I mean, my gut reaction, my immediate reaction is I think it's a great idea. I really do. And I can see him up for many reasons. So that's just, yeah.
First, I think it would be lovely. Second, I think it would be more palatable for this mural in the, you know, the private facing section of it, if there was something that was offered to the public, because your art is really lovely. And if there is any way to do that, and if there's anything we can do to help support you in that, we'd be happy to. Also with the understanding that greater compensation would need to be given to Karen to do whatever additional happens to that, whether it's sort of reversing her art for the backside or.
Yeah, I just think we're gonna have to talk to the fabricators for the printers first.
To
Because,
see if they can do that.
because it might show through as it
Yeah.
is. But we don't know to what degree, because
I think they even investigated several different kinds of mesh, and some are more transparent than others. So we just right now have,
Yeah.
something that's pretty minimal. So, yeah.
That's understood.
My concern would be the public getting a diminished version of your work. Like the opportunity to be exposed to this dynamic work should not be filtered by
Yeah.
virtue of
Exactly.
where they access it. So
Gotcha.
even if it's on the backside and you've reprinted on the backside, even if I'm standing on one of the floors and one of the levels, I only see this part of it. I love that because this thing, I'm over here like, oh, well, if we only saw this part, this still tells a story. But if it's not as vibrant
Yeah.
as the front side of this, then I have pause because I'm not seeing your forward.
Yeah, and
would agree.
you're right, the color is a huge part of it, the work. It's very-
And Karen has some sort of plaque that tells the art.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. So, but yeah, as far as the location, that was something that was worked through with the city all over a long time, and for whatever reason, this is the location for this one that everybody was agreed upon. So I understand the public facing side, and this is just kind of one instance of many other things that we're gonna do in the development. So on the other, there's another mural that's gonna go along Columbus Crewway, which is more public facing, but this is just the one that's happens to be.
Yes.
So,
As the Public Art Commission, that is just the main
right,
focus for us.
yeah, for sure. Yep,
I've had that habit.
get it, yeah.
And when is it going up approximately?
So, hoping for an approval so we can move forward with the city and then their contractors. And hoping to have it up and installed Q1 of 2023. Is our target right now. So it'll be up and visible to the public, until we start going vertical with our construction project. So it will be viewable in the immediate future. So, yeah,
Do you have any other questions of us?
I don't think so.
But y'all. Questions? All right. I will take a motion to approve the design and placement location of the mural artwork created by artist Karen Snuffer and submitted by the applicant. Any motion?
So
Second. Right. All those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Yeah. There.
Ryan, could you pass back that sample so I could just make?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Let's come up, sir. So we had a mural project at Feddersen Community Recreation Center for their recently refurbished basketball court, and two of the finalist artists were Sarah Hout and Sarah Hess. So it was interesting. But Sarah Hess is here. She's with Studios Sarah Marie. And her art, which I think we'll put back up in a second, was selected by the panel. Mary Gray participated on this panel. Three of the artists with very different types of designs, as mentioned in the agenda. The discussion after the artist presented was just kind of how perfect the scene for the area. It's known as a melting pot area. Sarah seemed to have a lot of knowledge about the area of Feddersen Recreation Center. There's a male and female basketball player. There's sort of nondescript in terms of race or ethnicity, and that also appealed to the panel. And they also like the idea of the players, the motion of the players, and the fact that they were kind of on the edges of the court. Some of the designs sort of splashed through the court. The rules were, we were paying for up to 25% of court coverage. The Recreation and Parks folks didn't want the entire court covered. this is the first time they've done something like this, and it's been a little bit bumpy for them, but I think we've gotten them to a good place with it. So as mentioned, it was unanimously selected by the panel. So with that, Sarah, maybe you'd like to tell us a little bit about your art and introduce yourself to the commission.
Yeah, I'm Sarah Hess. I've been doing art for about 10 years now, publicly. With this design, mostly we just wanted to pay tribute to the neighborhood of Feddersen. Erica Parks is the director at the community center, and she said that the neighborhood is very involved. It's generational. They've been there for decades, if not multiple generations. And so they take a lot of pride in the center. They like to make sure everything's done. So I wanted to use an image that literally showed them physically lifting the youth. We used these two specific figures. They are both loosely tied to Columbus. One grew up here in her formative years, and the other one is pursuing continued education here. We wanted them to be an athleisure wear because the area is surrounded by several schools, and we wanted it to just look like the kids that are wandering through that will probably end up playing on the court. We did the classic basketball dichotomy of, team v team, and I used these specific colors because if you're looking at it, the top side is north, so off to the west side is a cool colored playground, and off to the east side is a warm colored community center, so nice visual patterning and make it feel cohesive. And then we outlined the figures in gold because I love how that elevates a figure and gives it that historical aspect. And I added the confetti through it to kind of ground them and give a little bit of play in case we have any splotches, because they don't have any leftover paint to fix the court. Of the same color. The colors that we will be, or the type of paint we will be using is set forth by the CRPD. It's Dynaflex, and they have already said that they can make what we need to make. It just takes a couple weeks, so yeah.
Questions? Do you know, because this is a top view, and I'm not sure how you would view this when you're up there. Is that from inside of a building, a projection, or how would you, I guess I'd be curious to see what it looks like from the ground.
From the ground?
Because I would imagine that.
Yeah. It would probably you would probably be able to see, notice the head, because it's only 80 feet across, so it's a smaller court. You'll definitely be able to see the figure, but it'll feel more of the colors than the actual image. Yeah.
Is there any viewpoint from that location where you can see it the way you showed the image to us?
No.
Right.
It was taken by drone. Yeah. And the community center is on one floor, so they don't actually have a second level. Yeah.
Do you think the figures will be on any walls in the community center so people can see the full figures?
That would be okay. Yeah, definitely. And then the other thing that we had talked about doing, which wasn't a scope of the project, was just recoding the background or the backboards, because they are just perforated metal right now, and that was not part of the fixing of the court. And with that, we're just going to use air-baked automotive.
So that tan color, they don't have any more of it?
Supposedly they fixed it on site. Now,
Yeah.
the Dynaflex has a very similar color, so I think it would not. Yeah.
I know they should have a jar somewhere, right?
Especially from what they covered.
Yeah.
Well, it was
yeah.
just done, it was just done, and I was just as surprised as you are, and they just don't have anywhere to store it.
Yeah.
So the contractor comes out, mixes it on site, paints it, cleans up and goes away. And if it's graffitied or something's done and they go out and they wash it, if that doesn't work, then they paint over it and,
Yeah.
you know.
And that was one of my priorities when I was designing this, was to have that stained glass paint by number feel to it, so that, and I'll have leftover paint and leave it with them. Anybody can come back and touch it up. And after I'm done, I'm going to give a recreation with the Pantone colors in each section. So it'll be a detailed, hopefully just drop and fill restoration if anything happens.
So Recreation and Parks really wants to have this completed this year by the end of November. It's a really important deadline to them, but I have been pointing out to them right along that it depends on weather. And, Sarah did a little more research into the paint. And it needs to be 59 degrees for the paint to dry. It can't be anything on that. So, we'll have to play it by ear. So hopefully we'll go in by November 30th, but if not, then we'll need to work something out to go in, start in the spring. Is that acceptable? Can you do that?
Oh, yeah, and I'm flexible with that, and I'll get the paint immediately and just sit on it, and hopefully we'll have a nice week stretch of wonderful weather.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're comes, good luck out.
Yeah, great.
Maybe. Well, do you have any questions for us?
I do not know.
Other questions of the artist? Yeah, I think that's great. It's really fun.
I guess for me, you said these were two community figures, right?
They are, they're both community to Columbus. They specifically, I'm related to both of them.
Oh.
But they're both just like teen role models. They're very involved in their community. They're stellar athletes. Yeah.
So you're from this area too?
I am from Western Ohio,
Oh,
but
okay.
have lived here about 12 years now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Great. All right, I would like a motion to approve the mural art proposed by Sarah Hess, placement of the artist shown on the basketball court at the Betterson Community Recreation Center. Make a motion.
I'll do it because y'all are slow.
Second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
That'd be great.
Yes.
Thank you, Sarah.
Projects.
Yeah.
It looks like, Lori, when you're ready, it looks like there's no preliminary project discussion and or new business. So can you give us an update on the statute?
I don't really have anything more than the email that Jennifer sent out. She and some members of the committee had been going and meeting with members of council, kind of briefing them on the designing local proposal, which you all received a copy of, so you'd be better informed about what it is that they're trying to do for the project. And, did you have any questions about that at all?
I did, but I spoke with Jennifer on the way in.
Okay.
And it sort of sounded to me, that email, like the piece that the statute committee had said that it was going to go back somewhere. And really, it was not determined that it would go back. And Jennifer said that is not her intent, that it still is going to go back to the Christopher Columbus Statute Committee for a final look through. And I think that's what we kind of talked about at the committee. And I spoke with Eliza as well, so. Like, Mariah and I and Eliza are on that statute committee.
Okay, so for the Citywide Public Art Master Plan, you all had an opportunity to put that over and provide comments to Jennifer. I think it was about the 4th of October. She was meeting with, she's not here tonight, so she's gonna, so she went home early. But GCAC is in the lead of this process. They're talking with the county to see if the county wants to be involved, and if so, to what degree in the master plan process. And that seems to be a pretty big thing to find out and be sure of how that might work. My understanding is that GCAC is still looking to release the RFP sometime this month, so. I'm sorry.
I'm like not good at hearing. So.
Yeah, it's just math, of course. So GCAC is, I understand, still interested in trying to release the RFP this month. So, you know, time's a ticking. And I think they had it was their first meeting with the county. And commissioners have been very excited about the idea of public art, so, you know, it's.
Do you know if any of our comments on the RFP have been accepted, or if we will find out?
I think we'll find out. I mean, that's generally how I found out of any comments that I've made. So, you know, there's a team that includes Jennifer over with GCAC that are, you know, they're reviewing the public art RFP and, you know, making changes where they feel it's necessary. So the next thing on the agenda is, I just put in here public art voting opportunities, Diane. I'm not sure it's not a.
Yeah, it's a bit of a fuzzy idea, but I wanted to bring it up tonight. I've been thinking a lot about, and spoken to some of you about, not you yet, getting into the major initiatives that we're getting ready to do and kicking off in 2023. But it feels like we have not had much time to really talk about public art. We review projects and we say yes or no, and we give our opinion, and that's it. And I know that the community is going to have time to talk in various settings about the Christopher Columbus project, and I assume the master plan project. But it's still, to me, not real public art education. Not for the community, and it's not really something that we can absorb and talk to each other about. And for me, it goes into process, private and public project, nonprofits. And I've been thinking that it might be a nice idea to bring in independent public art specialists, program administrators, artists who could speak to us and engage us in conversation about the practice, about education, about refining our vision as a commission, to look back at the authorizing legislation, our documents, like the gift policy, for example, and kind of energize us for this future that we're embarking on. I have been, some people have suggested to me some people, but as well as just organizations in the nonprofit industry. So you can call it that, the Mural Arts Project, the Mural Arts Philadelphia, engineers who work with Janet Eichelman, who will be doing that arch over High Street. Craft Engineering, Earthscapes, a playground organization, Chicago Monuments Project, the city of Chicago has a fantastic report that they just sent out. And people that you might know, you know, artists you might know, engineers, administrators, to spur some conversation, to talk about what we're really about, to and I've had an initial conversation, just an email with the Columbus Foundation. They may be interested in some kind of a series. The more I think about it, the more I think it's going to have to be public, even though I'd like some time for us as a commission. But it still sounds like something that the public could get into. And I'm sort of seeing it perhaps as, I don't know how fast you could do this sort of thing, but kind of blending in with the projects that we have coming up, like the master plan and the Columbus statue public proposal. So it's very sketchy, but I'm bringing it to you to see if this is like really boring to you, if you have some interest to it, or I'll just throw it out there.
I want it because I've been starving for conversations about public art. I feel like I'm still new, and to your point, we vote on these things, but we haven't gotten a chance as a group to get to know perspectives and history and, you know, all of that stuff. So I'm very, very interested in that idea.
I also love the kind of
added bonus, right? That as a larger public, as a larger community, we could all benefit from this conversations.
Yeah.
So I think with that, I'm thrilled with that possibility. And I think for Columbus in general, I think that would be magnificent.
Yeah.
Right? To begin to have those conversations together and to think about, what might that look like for our city?
Yeah. I want opportunities to ask the citizens what Columbus is. The art is just a part of what that message we're trying to send is.
That's correct. And from a teaching standpoint, my background in history, professional development is what you just do. And so part of what I'm hearing you say is that we actually develop what we're doing as commissioners, as practitioners of our art form. And that way we can speak from a different lens.
Yeah.
As opposed to just one that reads a document and say, okay, in my best ability, this is what I believe is correct. If we have an opportunity to develop what that looks like, if it's a 6-month plan, I think that is amazing.
Okay.
And then that way we can actually roll it out. So it's more tangible for all of us and for community. I'll be selfish because I just want to get it. And I just want it all. But and the community can get it as well.
Yeah.
But it's like at the point where I'd love that education component. I think that makes sense.
It's good feedback. And the timing is weird because we still don't have the city backing for the designing local proposal. We don't yet have the master plan document RFP out. Gaining funding and planning for something like this is not going to happen overnight. So I don't have that in my head yet, but any comments or any ideas you want to share along the way?
Would any of those groups you talked about be willing to do a Zoom with us?
I have no idea, probably. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean,
It's almost like we could prime our city to prepare for some of the work we're gonna do. By just having conversations.
right. I mean, we could even, if it's more of a, yes, you could have interchange, but, even if it's somebody who can only meet us through Zoom, it could still be a public meeting at the space, and that person is
That's true. Call it like a salon and do it like once a month or something.
yeah.
It's not bad.
One of the comments that I've been making right along to the public art master plan is to have some other secondary speaker series, educational series, having it happen in different places throughout the city, thinking about different audiences, whether it's older audiences, younger audiences still at school, people who are working, and just trying to get to people where they are to find out what their interests are, but also to provide them with some background to help them make some decisions about public art. In particular, what's always been concerning is the response to more contemporary public art. It's something that not a lot of people understand. There are still a lot of people who look at public art as fountains and statues, memorials and that sort of thing, or murals. So there's a lot of bandwidth to explore within that. I haven't gotten any good sense as to whether or not that's something that they're putting in the RFP or something that they're waiting to see if the consultant might include in their response. So I don't know. So, I mean, I think that this would be really great. And one of the things that could also happen is that there's sort of a, depending on how it occurs, there could be sort of a commission meeting with this person, 2-hour meeting, and something that happens afterwards that's a broader community. So that you'd have the opportunity to really kind of dig in from a different perspective in terms of your roles on the commission, some more information about some of your questions answered and, new items brought to your attention. So we'll see what we can do.
I'll spend some time thinking of it in segments and your feedback is more than welcome. I'd really appreciate that too. And work with Jennifer and Lori and figure out what would be next.
And definitely think of people that are doing art, things that you are interested in.
Yes.
I want to talk to them about.
Yeah.
You know, I thought Mark Riggleman's talk for the Maker's Monument, which is somewhere on YouTube, was really good, really thoughtful. In terms of how he looks at things, Terry Allen's also is really good. But there may be some other folks even, you know, taking a look at and having, you know, talking to David Guerin from Dublin's program. You know, there are other programs. Toledo's doing some pretty interesting stuff. So, you know, we might want to talk to someone from there. Even someone from OSU's public art. Maybe. See what they're going to be doing.
And I want a lot of diversity here too. The public, and that's the thing, like if with these other major plans, some of the planning parts of it are meeting with the community, and those will definitely be diverse too. But I don't want what I'm talking about to be only about a master plan and only about Christopher Columbus.
Right.
Like it to be.
That's why I said the vision of who we are as a city.
Yeah.
And it makes more sense to do that so that we're not rubbing up or brushing into those initiatives. Because I think they're going to have a little bit of a life of their own.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
So the last thing that I have, if we're okay with that discussion, are we? Okay. Nationwide Children's Hospital is going to be doing a fundraising campaign, and they contacted Caitlin, Dunn, and Vivi over at the Short North Alliance to see about having a butterfly placed over in Poplar Park at the south end of the district. And we talked about that for a while because Caitlin was concerned, you know, whether or not it needed to come to the Art Commission for approval. It's really the branding. It's a butterfly. It's the branding of Nationwide Children's Hospital. It's kind of a three-dimensional play off the butterflies that are on the building. No artists are involved. They'll be reproduced to be in, I think, maybe 4 more locations or 3 more locations, including Columbus Commons and some other places around the city, kind of brighter places around the city. Every time someone makes a donation, the top of the butterflies, there are lights there and they will light up. So people can see that donations are being made. It's kind of cute. It reminded me of the Brutus Buckeyes that we had around the city and the pigs in Cincinnati and all that stuff. And I think, you know, maybe we need to just have some internal discussions about policies and things that have happened because there's so many good folks on the commission. But when we started on the commission, one of the things that was, I think, handled pretty decisively by Barbara Nicholson was her response to art that's used in advertising, because some of that came to the commission, and her response at the commission has been following ever since. It's basically art used to support advertising. It's not art. It's not related to anybody at the commission. Whether we need to look at that again, I don't know. But that was really her feeling, that it's commercial and it's not appropriate. There were some efforts to kind of rope us into banners downtown and some other things that were happening. There's the bridge across Town Street that has the logo photographs for Grant Hospital. Public Service wanted the Art Commission to review that, and the commission refused. It's clearly their branding, it's their marketing, it's not art. There's no artist really involved with it. And I really looked at this in the same way. So I wanted to bring it to you to let you know that, see if you had any comment on it.
the older member here. That's sort of the way I've been thinking about things, but I'd love to hear from you guys.
So if a graphic designer was employed to create these butterflies, so to speak, for the commercialization that it was called to be, then we're not classifying that as art.
Probably not, but with this particular piece, what jumped out at me is that the butterflies are part of a corporate branding of Nationwide Children's Hospital.
Mhm.
Very clearly, they're on the building, and it will be sort of three-dimensional, taking those butterflies and making them three-dimensional,
Mhm.
putting them out in the community for their members. And they'll be removed.
Because they'd be removed, I don't know.
Sorry?
Because they'd be removed, they're not permanent sculptures.
No, but we approved temporary sculptures, but again, if something is clearly part of advertising, corporate branding, it's not a new or unique piece of art that has been created by an artist, even if it's a graphics
Gotcha.
artist.
Okay.
I mean, these are things that are going to be manufactured. There's going to be a design and they're going to be manufactured, which, you know, artists can design things and they can be manufactured, sure. But this is so closely related to Nationwide's branding.
And you said it lights up when they get stuff?
The tips of the wings light up.
Yeah, that's a level of tacky. I don't think I want to find it. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I see the point, that I don't think that would classify that as something that we would have. What's the liability, when I'm asking as a newbie, what's the liability if it does come to us and we say, yes, we will?
Is that
adjudicate
what
this?
we're discussing, that you heard this might come here? Or
No, I know it's coming, and I've had conversations with Caitlin about it.
I see.
I feel like I have enough information in terms of where it will be in Columbus, that if you feel strongly it needs to be approved by you, that we would be able to do that. But I don't want to go down a path and add something that really doesn't seem to fall under the commission's purview.
Okay.
And again, you know, I don't think that the marketing branding of an organization is something, you know, even though they use it in a different way, that it suddenly becomes art. I mean, that came up with the sign over at Courtyard. It's fun and very artful, but, you know, it wasn't seen as a sculpture. It wasn't seen as art. It was seen as a really fun sign. But there was a lot of talk about that one too. And if that's something we need to talk about further, I mean, you know, because we've got changeover, I think it may very well, or in some further discussion, you know, we can take some time in the meeting with a light agenda and talk about this stuff a little bit more. But I just wanted to bring it to you because if you saw them, I didn't want you to go, whoa, you know, what's going on over here?
Do you want to see a mock-up of them before you make a decision?
That would be
We're
great.
voting on that, definitely.
I don't know that we have the time for that between now and the next hearing.
So it's going.
I just think from a principled kind of standpoint, if this is the branding and the marketing of a huge, you know, a corporation, let's call it that way, then I don't see how that is art. And I think we have to be mindful.
Is it because it's in the public right of way? Whatever.
No, it just came up as a question. You know, Caitlin was talking to them because I wanted to put a piece in the short north at Public Park, and you know, she comes here all the time. And she gave me a call and said, "Hey, this is the conversation I had, and this is how we talked about it. And what do you think?" And you know, this is what I thought. That, and giving it some additional thought, that you know, it's clearly Nationwide Children's Hospital branding. It's for their fundraising. It will be there for a short time, but I don't think that that's the bigger issue. I think the bigger issue is that it's corporate branding. It's taking images that have already been produced as part of their branding, making them three-dimensional, putting them around various places, mostly private, but you know, I heard that they might be putting one at Columbus Commons and one at Pumper Park to help, you know, make the community aware of their fundraising.
And fundraising that goes directly to them and not to
Mhm.
the city or
Or to
city run
artists.
organizations.
Yes. It's funding for Children's Hospital.
Yeah. So that's not like the pigs and the brewers.
No, I think that's not our bailiwick. That's
No.
our.
I don't think somebody wanted to.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I think this is one of a topic, again, when we talk about developing this professional development component, that this is one of those areas that I think we should articulate.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
No, I think we all agreed, don't.
Thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for being cognizant.
Unless there's any other discussion, would someone like to make a motion? I'll move.
Second.
All those in
You were
favor?
on it,
I
Jamal.
love it. You see that?
Yeah.